Interfaith dialogue is defined as communication and cooperation across religious boundaries. Unbreakable bonds are created when people come together and truly communicate. Differences can make relationships and faiths even stronger. When leaders and followers of all different religions come together and talk, they create an environment of intelligence, of understanding, of compassion, and of peace.
Let me be very clear about this. The purpose of interreligious dialogue is not to convert your friend. That's very bad manners, very, very bad. Okay, so if there's any proselytizing going on in the midst of a dialogue, that blow the whistle, out of bounds, penalty, kick, all that sort of thing, okay? The purpose of interreligious dialogue, well, if we learn something about one another, that's nice, that's fine, that's good, okay? But ultimately, the purpose of interreligious dialogue is to build bonds of solidarity. True solidarity between Buddhists and Christians, Christians and Jews, Muslims, what have you, okay? And I know many Muslims and Jews and Hindus and Buddhists, and go through the list, who also believe, along with me, that the purpose of interreligious dialogue is to build bonds of solidarity. We live in a world that is hell-bent on dividing people according to religion. And I guess I have to say, the view, which is very popular today, the view that says, deep down inside, Buddhists and Christians and Muslims, Muslims and Hindus, they're really all trying to say the same thing. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. And to the extent that that waters down the differences between those who practice other religious faiths, I think that's a problem. That's not the solution, that's the problem. I want Muslims to be committed to alleviating suffering in this world for Muslim reasons. I want the same for Buddhists, only they need to do it for Buddhist reasons. And you know, my Buddhist friends and my Muslim friends as well, they expect nothing less from me. That they want me to contribute to the well-being of this world, to address the suffering of fragile human beings, the suffering of the environment, in a way that is deeply rooted in my Christian faith. Yeah, that's what we need. The purpose of interreligious dialogue is not to convert not to convert from one religion to another. The purpose of interreligious dialogue, I suppose you could say, I want the Buddhists to convert me to Christianity. And my Buddhist friends have said the same thing. Jim, we want you to help us to become better practitioners of the teachings of the Buddha. I think that's a pretty cool thing to be doing. I think of all the ways in which I could be spending my life. This is a pretty good way, I have to say. I'm pretty happy with it.
Well, you know, my devotion, my practice has been changed. I was young, I was a very narrow-minded and only focused on my religion. And the faithful, but very narrow conviction toward my religion. But since I live in this country, almost more than 37 years ago, I slowly upgrade myself in a good way, especially after 21st century, I step up to the leader of the Buddhist community. Then I, not really forcefully, but I just voluntarily myself, I open more my perspective to understand the other religion, and a lot of interreligious communication with the all other religion, not just only friendship, but to know each other, what they believe, and I would like to introduce what the Buddhism is, So in many decades ago, some people asked me about why you not Christian? It's kind of very offensive way, but now the people change. is how the Buddhist teaching is. So people is change, not only change myself, but in general, I think the people in the 21st century, they really changed. They are, and we wanted a more is the communication and the sharing, and understanding each other to prevent the confrontation, argument or fighting. As you know, that last so many hundred years, that the religious war that is the cost of millions and millions of people. Still somewhere in the Middle East or South Asia, still the people fight. The religion is founded because for human, and their main topic is love and compassion. But where is the love and compassion? They kill each other because simply you are not like me, or you not belong to us, or you're pagans, you are infidel. That's why you have to die. This kind of thing I don't think is the Jesus Christ or Buddha or Allah or Kali Ma, whatever religion teach. Such is a very, very aggressive way to lead the people. I don't think so. Every religion is the most important as aspect. The important layout is how to loving people, how to share and communicate and embrace people and live together, harmony, all that. But some people, the misunderstanding about their religion or other religion, or misinterpret for the religion, or misinterpret their conviction. And the conviction is not just only religion. The conviction is respect. You understand that? That is included all. Respect the people, respect the nature, animal, other religion. This all include within the word of a conviction. So I really wanted the people to demonstrate, especially 21st century, how to get along with each other. It's very, very important. It's the religious people doing it, then I know that all the people follow, and especially the politicians are going to follow. They are narrow-minded. Our job, the Buddhist or Christian or Catholic, Roman Catholic or Islam, we try to, it opens it up the door inch by inch, And I know a lot of the religious leader, they try very hard and voluntarily, or get some other experience. It's many different reasons. They're trying to open more doors to we can smiley and communicate and shake hands at each other.
In terms of interreligious dialogue, it's something that I strongly believe in as well. We participate in a lot of interfaith activities. I've been with several interfaith councils for a long time. And it's something that I don't like to restrict myself only to interfaith dialogue, because I believe in working with everyone. My responsibility to the community really is it's greater than I want it to be. And I think the reason for that is I'm kind of in a unique position, because there's very few people who kind of were born and brought up in this culture, in this Western culture. So I definitely believe in religious dialogue. It's very, very important that people who have shared interests, shared values, shared beliefs, they come together and they highlight those things, and they work together on the things that they can work together on to be more effective in bringing goodness to the world.
Frankly true. The religion has actually created a lot of the problem. Not just 20 or 21st century. It's always been that way. Last 2,000 years, how many people killed, the murder, because the religious obedience or their rules? I travel Europe a lot, and I know that all the Dark Age, Middle Age, millions of people, the murder by the church or religious people, and often they fight each other. Well, the people always loved sucking the extreme way. They wanted deadly right or deadly wrong. You know, they don't like any kind of in the middle way. The people always say, I'm angry, I'm very happy, but they not finding in between. The same thing with hatred. They really, really hate. Or other side, make the good friend. It's a very extreme life for thousands of years. So, I'm a clergy member, you know, I like to share my idea to other religious leaders. Teach them as a middle way, how to moderate yourself. It's not too spicy, too extreme, but what is the most common, simple, respectful way? Well, I would say that it's a middle way. And another very important thing is communication. If this religion and other religion, they really open communication each other, they don't need to fight. But they don't want to. You know, some religions don't want to talk to other. Very seriously, it's a kind of hatred, because 100 years ago you did something really bad for my religion. When religion talk about forgiveness, but the religion actually forgiveness is actually very far away, you know. And why don't you practically practice is forgiveness? It's centuries ago, it's gone. But this generation people, you know, they're not responsible for all those the crime or whatever did it wrong. So we have to start it all over again. It's just like your computer is a really bad or rather the virus, what the people do, they push the reset button. So why don't we put the reset button every 100 years or every 50 years, starting all over? But they still struggle with the virus. You know, I mean, you get a hot load of computer and lots of virus, but they still struggle using the same freaking computer. Why not simple as push the button, restart, just turn off, reboost it, starting all over again? This is what I say, forgiveness. Forget about all this. But it's the most important thing is interfaith dialogue. What I, you know, participate all my life, but also I wrote a couple of books is about the short essay, which is the autobiography about me, a couple of them, one in English and one in Korean. One story is that I have the wonderful experience to the Islam woman. She is actually a scholar. And she opened the mind, and we have many, many hours discussion. She didn't know about Buddhism, I didn't know about Muslim. But several hours we sit together and talk. And not really the feeling of offensive, but feeling of love. So I did not miss any word from her, and she did not miss any word from me. Now, I really truly understand Islam. Lots of the other religious people, they don't want to know. But you should know. Then you understand it, and let them understand what you believe. This all talk about communication. And talk. And maybe some few days, a few months, maybe you could have something, many disagreement or disappointing, but don't give up.
On the afternoon of 9/11/2001, the Archbishop of Los Angeles at the time, the Cardinal, called up his friend at the Islamic Center of Southern California. They'd known each other for years. They cared about one another. The Cardinal says, "How are the grandkids?" This is the afternoon of 9/11, and the Cardinal said, "I want to come over to the Islamic Center and pay you a visit. And I'm going to bring the press with me." So that afternoon, the horror of 9/11 was still coming down on top of us, right? That very afternoon, there was the leader of the Catholic community in Los Angeles, and one of the leaders, one of the most important leaders of the Muslim community in Los Angeles. They are standing together and showing the whole world that they don't hate one another. And as a matter of fact, they're really rather fond of one another. They care for one another. That's what I mean by solidarity. That Sunday, I said Mass at a parish for Japanese and Japanese American Catholics. When I got up to preach that Sunday, this is the Sunday after the Tuesday of 9/11, I remember exactly what I said. I said, we've been attacked, and like Pearl Harbor, remember, Japanese and Japanese Americans. Like Pearl Harbor, America is afraid now. And then I looked into the faces of my parishioners, my old friends there. These are the faces that as children, they were arrested by the United States government and sent off to the internment camps after Pearl Harbor. I said, no one knows better than we do here in Little Tokyo what America is capable of doing when it's afraid. And America is afraid right now. It is not angry. It'll be angry later. It's afraid. And America's going to do terrible things. The time now has come for us to practice what we preach. The time has come for, not just me, all of us here, to stand in solidarity with our Muslim friends, our Muslim neighbors. Because this is what the gospel demands, that we reach out to form bonds of solidarity with our neighbors who follow other religious paths. That's what I think about interreligious dialogue. At this time in the history of the United States of America, I think the conservative movement is in really bad shape. And I say this with a great deal of sorrow, because the United States of America needs to have a vital, active, intellectually and morally credible conservative movement. And we do not have that right now. There are a lot of people who are making a lot of money trying to convince Americans that they're not afraid, that they're really angry. And it's easier to be angry than it is to be afraid. It takes less energy to be angry than it takes to be afraid. And you can fill in the blank. It used to be Jews, now it's Muslims or liberals or what have you. You can make a lot of money off people who are afraid. Just tell them they're not afraid, they're really angry. Yeah, I'm not afraid. I'm angry. I'm really angry. And without getting into any details, okay, let me say again, America desperately needs a credible conservative movement right now that is morally principled, that has ideas about addressing the problems of the nation. And right now the conservative movement has been hijacked by demagogues. This is not good for our country, not at all. And I say that as someone that's not a conservative. We need a credible conservative movement.